So, this morning woke up at 12, and as in I actually did wake up at noon, but also my sugar levels were 12, and so what I had for breakfast was 40 grams of porridge, a handful of raisins, a handful of blueberries, and about a teaspoon of honey. So that's in terms of carbs. That's what I had. So the it's 2 hours later now, so time to check. So this is my traveling pancreas. So in here I have my little lancet, which had, well, the actual pricker unit, and that has a little lancet in here. So the lancet just has a tiny little needle at the top, and it's just spring loaded. And then you have your various settings here. There's numbers there, and depending on how thick your skin is, how heavy you are, use different settings. So just spring loaded, no loaded. A lot of people they don't like it. They don't like the sensation or the thought of pricking your finger, but it never bothered me, and over time it's something that's just completely secondary now anyway. So then this is the business end. This is my glucose meter. Your glucose meter has a little deposit here, and into that goes one of these guys. This side has a little barcode on it, and this side has a little reservoir that you deposit your blood sample on. So feed it in. This one comes on automatically, and it gives a little drop symbol up here. So load the spring. Any finger except the index or thumb for just sensitivity over the year. Over the years you want to retain that. You get like a little drop of blood. Make sure it's just elevated, kind of like a heaped teaspoon thing. You want it to fill the strip quickly, because otherwise it'll give you a false reading or error count, which is basically a wasted strip. Not everyone does that, but I do. 5 seconds. So 4.2. That's not 5.4. 4.2. So on your unit then you have your on button, which in this is a little butterfly, and then you have a little notepad symbol with a pen on it. That's basically your history. So if you press that, and then you can go backwards and forwards, or up and down in this case. So you can see 11.3 this morning, just before or this afternoon, because of my late evening shifts. That was my waking sugars before breakfast. So at 1 o'clock in the day it was 11.3, and now at 3 o'clock in the day it's 4.2. So if we say 11 rather than 12, evidently, to 4 is a drop of 7 in 2 hours. So 4.2 is actually not a bad reading, but again, I'm not an expert, but what I found anyway in diabetes, a lot of what I can base my estimations on and my guesswork is trends. So my sugars are either going up or going down. They're going up if I've just eaten a load of carbs, and they're coming down when the insulin is breaking it down. Same as a normal working pancreas. These trends help me to estimate the trajectory. So it's going down now. 7 units over 2 hours is a lot. So if it was to go down by 7 units in another 2 hours and I didn't check, I'd be dead, because I'd be -3, which you can't have, obviously. So 4.2, I'm catching it as a hypo. If it goes below 3, below 4, I will start to feel it. I'm still very sensitive to my hypos, which is a good thing. So this is where I'm kind of getting away with it. This morning I did use my weighing scales, weighed out my 45 grams. I know the general content of a handful of the fruit I added to it and a teaspoon of honey. But where I'm lacking is the ratio. So I took 8 units this morning because I took 12 yesterday with that porridge, plus a banana, plus a yogurt, and plus an orange. So what I was doing this morning by taking 8 was in my head estimating that, well, I'm minusing that much sugar in terms of not having a banana and not having an orange. I just ran out of fruit. That was the only reason I didn't have it. So therefore I need less insulin. And what I am trying to do is get my sugars to come down from 11. However, I've taken too much insulin. I haven't had a hypo and it's not a panic. I'll just go and grab some fruit there now. I could even just have a small glass of milk, and that would bring it probably up to 5, between 5 and 6. And then in an hour's time I might have a lunch. So I'm actually going for coffee in a minute. So I'll probably be having coffee in the next half hour, and I'll probably have something with it. Again, I'll be having a big white fruit scone with some jam, lots of sugar in it, and to me there's nothing at all wrong with that. I don't do it every day. I'll take what I think is the right amount of insulin and deal with that. I actually don't not eat sweets ever. If I want something sweet, I'll have it. I try not to do the dog in it, and then I try to take the right amount of insulin. Again, the whole purpose of this is admitting that I'm not the best at it, but I like scones, I like sweet stuff. And so what I'll do now, basically, to cut a long story short, is I will check in 1 hour, having taken a little bit of fruit. It should be somewhere around 6. I'll have my scone and my coffee, and I'll probably take about 10 to 12 units just with a scone alone. Scones are riddled with sugar. They're very, very sweet. I have made low sugar ones sometimes, but ones you buy in a cafe they're big scones as well. And then 2 hours after that, just before I go to work or when I arrive at work, I'll check the the effect of the ratio I took to the scone, and then I'll probably have dinner in an hour or 2 hours after that. That's the trajectory for the day, you know. I'm basing a lot of what I do later on how the breakfast this morning has gone, which is not bad. But again, the issue is that I woke up too high, but also supplementary to that, I'm after taking too much insulin. So if I had woken up at 5 to 7 units or millimoles, my sugar levels, and I had taken this much, and I went from 7 down by 7 over 2 hours, I'd actually be having a hypo, which is just the biggest no-no. Going high in terms of like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 is in the grand scheme of things bad, but comparing it to hypo from breakfast, which is basically giving myself which is what I have done now, I've overdosed, taken too much insulin, so that's a no-no. So I'll take a note of that, because I'm starting my food diary, just saying that the porridge I eat, the way I eat it with the fruit and the honey, 8 units is actually too much. So maybe tomorrow morning I'll have 6 units, and then if that's too little, I'll take 7 units, and if it's still too much at 6, I'll take 5, and etc. So what I'll do is I'll just make another little shorter video probably, just before I go to work today at like 4:30 or 5 o'clock, and just show again whether the trend is going up and I've taken too little insulin, or it's coming down but it's also coming down too fast and I took too much. And I'll check back in.